In today's video I'm going to show you how to create a mobile phone case for the Samsung Galaxy S8. Alrighty, so as you can see here, just do a quick fly around. I've got little spaces on the arm on the side for the buttons, so the volume, the Bixby and the power button. Got a cutout up the top here for the camera. Down the bottom we've got some holes for like the audio, like your headphone jack. You've got the charging slot there, and I think that's where the volume comes out of, and there's a little hole on top as well, which I don't even know what it's for. But that's our mobile phone case. This can be 3D printed once you're finished as well. It can actually be used as a phone case, which is pretty cool. Alright, so to get started, what we're going to be doing is going to the File menu, clicking on the New option, choosing the metric templates, and then picking a standard millimeter Inventor part, and clicking Create. From here we're going to make a new 2D sketch. We're going to click on the XY plane. And from here we're going to go to our rectangle option here and choose the third one down that says Rectangle 2-point Center. Select that, go to your origin, click and drag out. Now the sizes you want is 153 millimeters width and 73 millimeters for the height. Zooming out you can see what that looks like. Press enter once you've got it, and you'll see that you have your rectangle drawn on your plane. From here we're going to choose the fillet option up in your toolbar, and the fillet needs to be 10 millimeters in size. So just type in 10 to the fillet box. What we're going to do is we're going to click on this left hand side once, and that will just highlight in a lightish kind of blue, and then click on the top section of the rectangle, and you'll see that that fillets out that top left hand edge, or corner, sorry. Just go around and do the same for each corner on this rectangle. So click on the top, click on the right, click on the right, click on the bottom, click on the bottom, and click on the left edge. And you can see now we have 4 perfectly filleted edges. You can close the fillet box and finish your sketch. Just zoom out a little bit by scrolling out on your mouse, and what we're going to do now is just turn this into a 3D object by choosing Extrude from the ribbon. When we're extruding, we're just extruding a distance of 12 millimeters, so type in 12 to the distance box there and click on OK. You can see now we've got a shape that somewhat resembles a mobile phone. What we're going to do now is just fillet the edges on the top and bottom faces of this case. So we're going to choose the fillet option, ensure that the radius is 1 millimeter, and the edges you want to select is basically this top face, flip it over, and the bottom face. So you can see now all the blue edges have been selected. In total 16 edges have been selected. So if yours says 16 edges selected, click OK, and you've now got a 1 millimeter fillet around the top and bottom faces of your phone, or phone case, sorry. Next thing we're going to do now is dig out all this stuff in the center here, so we've actually got room to put our phone into the case. And the way we're going to do that is by using the shell feature. So up in the ribbon, click on shell, choose this outside option down here. Make sure automatic face chain is unchecked if it is checked, so we want it unchecked. The thickness needs to be 1 millimeter. If you've got the same settings as me, just click on the top face of the mobile phone case and click OK. And you can see now we've dug out all the chunky stuff inside there now, and we can put our phone into that case. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now we need to get into the finer details, and we're going to put the buttons on each side of the phone. So I want you to start on the right hand side of the phone over here. And what I want you to do is do a 2D sketch and click onto this right hand side. Zoom in by scrolling on your mouse towards the top right hand side there. This is the top of our phone here. Okay, so I'll just zoom in nice and close, and we're going to be drawing ourselves another rectangle. Now this time when we do the rectangle, I just want you to choose the top option here, the 2-point rectangle once again. Okay, and once you've got that selected, I just want you to come in to this face and just draw out a rectangle. Now the rectangle size needs to be 10 millimeters for the width and 3 millimeters for the height. Press enter once you've got that, and you'll have a little rectangle that looks like so. I'm going to dimension this now. So grab your dimension tool, click on the right hand edge of your little rectangle, click on the very top of your mobile phone over here on the right, drag up, and the distance you want that button from the top of your phone is 50 millimeters. So type in 50 and press enter. The other thing we need to dimension is the top edge of this small rectangle button. So click on that, click on the top face of your phone. You can just bring it out to the left or the right, it doesn't matter. I might go to the right. And the distance is 2 millimeters. So press enter. You can see it pretty much snaps right onto this line here. So that's our little button in position. But before we finish, we're going to fillet the edges by going up to the fillet option. The size is going to be 1 millimeter. And we're simply going to fillet the corners. You don't have to click on each face on this one, just hover over the corner. You'll see that it bends in. So I'm just going around and clicking on those corners. Close the fillet box once you've done all four, and you should have a little shape like that, which is going to be for our power button. Finish the sketch and extrude that shape. Okay, you want to extrude at a distance of 1 millimeter. Click OK. If you do a little bit of a fly around, you can see now you've got a little button that sticks out 1 millimeter from the phone case. Okay. The other thing we need to do to finish this button off is actually come onto the inside of our phone case, just in here, and dig away a little bit of the edge here, so we've actually got room for the button to sit nicely inside of there. Alright, so what I'm going to do is swing it around so you can see the face inside your button. So here's your button here on the right. Swing it around so you can see this face here. And we're going to draw a sketch onto that face. So start a 2D sketch and draw it onto this face here, so the inside of that little power button. The next thing we're going to do is we're just going to swing back around so we can see the button, and we're going to click Project Geometry. And I just want you to click on the face of that button once. Now that's probably not going to look like it does anything, but if you press Escape on your keyboard and swing back around, you can see we've projected that outline of the shape onto the inside of our phone case, and it's going to help us out with our drawing in just a moment. Okay, so I'm just going to go back here, and I'm going to press F7 now, and that's going to take away this front face, and now I can see the face on the other side. So it's basically cut my mobile phone case in half for a moment, just while I do a bit of sketching. So we're going to draw this exact shape again. This time it's going to be on the inside of our mobile phone case. So I'm going to grab my rectangle tool, and I'm going to use my guides to help me out here. It's a bit hard to see, but there's little dashed lines appearing, and you'll probably see them on your computer as you draw. But basically you want to draw a rectangle the same size as the rectangle you did before. Okay, so that was it 10 by 3 I think it was. Yeah, 10 mils width, 3 mil height. From there you just need to fillet the edges 1 millimeter and just do what you did before. You may need to click on the top line and the side line and the bottom line, then the left side line. And you've now got this exact same shape drawn on the inside of your phone case. So close the fillet box and finish your sketch. Okay, so there it is there in green. So on one side we've got the button, on the other side we've just got a sketch here. And what we're going to do is we're going to extrude this sketch. And we're not going to have it grow out, we're actually going to cut back in on itself. Okay, and we're going to cut back in at 1 millimeter. So just click on OK. So now you've got a little indent inside the phone case where that button will sit nicely in there. All we have to do is push it from the outside, and it will push the button of the phone on the inside there. Okay, so that looks pretty good, and that's our power button all done. Next thing we need to do is go over to the other side of the phone, so the left side, over here to this face. Okay, and on this face here, we need to do the volume button and the Bixby buttons. Okay, so let's start a 2D sketch and draw it on this face here. Again, come up to the top end of the phone because that's where the buttons are located. And we're going to be drawing a few different buttons here. We'll start with the volume buttons. Okay, it's going to be a rectangle that we draw first. It's going to be 22 mils wide and 2 mils in height. So 22 across, 2 for the height, and we're going to press enter. Right, so that looks pretty good. From there we're going to grab the dimension tool, click on the top edge of our little rectangle and then the top face of the phone. That needs to be a 2 mil dimension. So that's 2 mils away from the top face of the phone. And then we're going to dimension this left edge of the rectangle with the top of our phone here. And the distance needs to be 27 for that one. Okay. So that's how we're looking at the moment. This is going to be our volume button. We're going to draw a second button now that comes in a little bit further down, which is the Bixby button. Okay, it's like the Siri for the Samsung. So this one is going to start pretty much level with this button here. So on this line, okay, I'm just going to click on it and drag out. It needs to be 11 width and 2 for the height. So 11 mils width, 2 mils height. Press enter once you've got it. Now we're going to dimension the right edge of our volume button with the left edge of the Bixby button. And it needs to be 7 millimeters apart. So the two buttons there, 7 mils apart. Now we're going to grab our fillet tool and just fillet the edges of these buttons. It needs to be 1 millimeter. And we're just going to have to click on the side first and the top. Top and then the side. Side and then the bottom. Bottom and then the side. Do the same over here for your other one. Just fillet all 4 edges. And when you're done, close the fillet box there and you can finish your sketch. Now you've got both buttons drawn on the side of your phone. We're going to extrude those buttons. So just click extrude by a distance of 1 millimeter. Alright, you may need to click on the buttons here to select them so they do pop out, and click on OK. You can see now we've got volume button at the top. Coming in next to that, the Bixby button. Okay, they're not finished yet. What we need to do is cut out the holes on the inside of the phone case now for those 2 buttons. Alright, so come to the inside face here and make a new sketch for me. And it's going to be on the inside face where those buttons are. Okay, now we're going to swing back around so we can see those 2 buttons. We're going to click Project Geometry and just click once on that face and once on that face and press Escape. Swinging back around now, you can see that the shape has been projected onto this inside face. And again, that's going to help us out with our drawing. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this view here and I'm going to press F7 on my keyboard, and it's going to cut my phone case in half so I can see the other side where I need to do my drawings. Okay, just going to grab our rectangle tool and we're going to draw like we did before. Using the guides to help us, we're going to draw a rectangle that comes out there to there, so 11 by 2. Come across. We'll do the same here. So use your little guides to help you draw a 22 by 2 rectangle. Fillet the edges for me. Going to be 1 mil. So just clicking once on the left side, once on the bottom, once on the bottom, once on the right, once on the right, and once on the top. Do the same over here for this one. Just clicking on the 2 edges, which will fillet out a corner. Close the fillet box once you've got that. Finish the sketch, and you can see we've got our 2 sketches now on the inside. We're going to extrude those sketches. Click extrude. You may need to click on the shapes, and we're going to cut back in on ourselves here a distance of 1 millimeter. Click OK. You can see we've got 2 little indents now which sit inside these 2 buttons. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Now one thing we need to do is just touch up this volume button a bit. Okay, if we press the top end, that turns the sound up. If we touch this bottom end, it turns the sound down. What we want to do is just put a little barrier in the middle here so you can distinguish between volume up and volume down. I'm going to start a 2D sketch on the volume button itself. Okay, you can zoom in a little bit here, and what we're going to be doing is I'm going to draw a rectangle, but before we do that we need to project the geometry. So click Project Geometry of this shape. So click once on that. Press Escape and you'll see it's turned to yellow. Alright, from there, can we get the center point up? Might need to draw a construction line to do that. So we're going to grab our line tool, turn on construction lines to help us out here. And I want you to find the center point which is just there when your little green circle appears under your mouse cursor. Click and drag straight down until you see the next green cursor, and you'll get a little construction line, which is going to help us out with drawing our center point. Okay, press escape and turn construction lines off. And we're going to grab our rectangle tool now. This time though, we're going to choose the 2-point center rectangle. And I want you to hover around the center of that line. When you see that little green circle, click and drag out and make a 2 by 2 square and press enter. Alright, finish that sketch off and click extrude. We're going to extrude that little square a distance. How far do we want to go out? 1 millimeter would be good, I think. Actually, sorry, we're going to cut back in on itself. I'm just looking at the case now. We actually want to cut back in 0.25 millimeters. So just a tiny little cut back in on itself. Click OK. And if we swing it around, you can see now you've got a little button that's a bit more raised for the up, and a button's a bit more raised for the down. Okay, a little bit of an indent in between. Now we need to also do that on the inside through here. Okay, so it's quite similar to what we did before. What we're going to need to do is zoom in on the volume button here, and we're going to have to make a new sketch on this face. Okay, looking around, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to project some geometry first, and it's going to be this face here. Press escape and you can see now we've got the geometry projected. Okay, we might actually be able to come back around to the outside and click on this square, and that will project through as well, which is going to make life very easy for us actually. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to this side of the shape and press F7 so it cuts my phone case in half and I can see what I'm drawing. All I want to draw is a rectangle, so choose the 2-point rectangle, and it's just going to cover this little square that we drew before. So a 2 by 2 square just in here is all you need. Finish the sketch once you've got that, and you can see you've got the square just sitting here. We're going to extrude that square 0.25, and again we're going to cut back in on ourselves and just click on that little square and click OK. So there you have it. You've got the little indent between the up, or volume up and volume down buttons. That looks good on both sides. Alright, so that's our 3 buttons all sorted. That's looking pretty good. What can we do next? I think the next thing we can do is create a camera hole. Okay, and the camera hole sits just in here. Pretty easy one to do. So what we're going to do is make a new sketch on this bottom face. Okay, from here I'm going to draw a rectangle. Just any old rectangle. Something like this. It's going to be about 15 mils high and 32 mils for the width. Press enter. So something like that. 15 high, 32 wide. We're going to dimension now this shape, so click dimension, click the top face, and then click the very top of the phone. That distance needs to be 20 mil. Type in 20 and press enter. Alright, we also want to get it smack bang in the center. Alright, so what we're going to have to do here is just quickly draw a construction line. Okay, find the center point when your mouse goes green there and just drag straight down just somewhere below that rectangle and press escape. Alright, and we're going to dimension. How are we going to do this? We'll grab that to there and we'll make it 16. That's half of 32. There we go. So let's put it right in the center of our mobile phone case. Hopefully that made sense. We'll dimension that line to that center construction line. Alright, press escape when you're done and you can just delete that construction line. You don't need that, and you can turn construction lines back off. I'm going to fillet the edges of this shape. So choose the fillet tool up the top there, and we're going to do a 2 mil fillet on these. So just go around the edges there and click. and you'll see you get a nice little fillet around each of those edges. Finish the sketch, choose Extrude, and we're going to cut this shape, and just choose all. It's going to cut all the way through. Click OK. You've now got a hole in your phone there that can be used for the camera. If you just flip it around to the back, so you can see the back of the camera case, what we're going to do is just put a fillet on this as well. So choose fillet, make sure it's a 1mm radius, and just select this shape here. Click OK, and you've just got a little fillet now, which will make it look nice on the outside of the case. Alright, so that's how we're looking at the moment. It's time to do the little holes at the bottom of the phone case now that come down in this section. Alright, so let's make a new 2D sketch on this bottom face just here. Alright, zoom in a little bit if you'd like. And we're going to draw 3 shapes, a circle and 2 rectangles. So we're going to grab our circle first of all. And actually we want to get right in the center here. So we might use a construction line to find the center of our rectangle. So turn construction lines back on, make sure you got the line tool selected. Just hover down this face until you see a little green dot. Click. And just drag somewhere over the other side until you see the green dot. And that line through the center there is going to help us out with our sketches. Press escape, turn construction lines off. Go and grab a circle. The circle tool selected, start on that center line and drag out a 7mm diameter circle. Alright, that looks pretty good. The next thing we'll do is we'll grab a rectangle. Okay, again, we're going to have to change this to a 2-point center rectangle. So we want it to come off this center line. So over to the right somewhere, click on that center line and drag out. The height you need is 7mm, the width is 13mm, and press enter. Alright, that looks good. We're going to go up and choose a 2-point rectangle now. I know it's a bit confusing. What we're going to do is make sure it starts level with the top of this rectangle, so you can just use your guides to get it right. Click, drag out. This one is going to be 4 high by 14 wide. We'll press enter. So you've now got 3 shapes. Just press escape to turn those tools off. You've got a circle, rectangle, rectangle. Now we just need to dimension them. So I'm going to grab the dimension tool. I'm going to start by clicking on the center point of this middle rectangle and clicking on the line running down the left hand side here. Okay, so that distance, it needs to be 37.5. So type in 37.5 and press enter. Okay. Next thing we need to do is dimension the center of the circle with the left hand edge of this rectangle. The distance between those two is 10mm. Press enter. The next thing we need to do is just put a dimension between this right edge of the rectangle in the middle and the left edge of this rectangle on the right. And the distance between those two is going to be 2mm. Press enter. I think that's about it. So what we'll do is we will finish our sketch there and have a look at those shapes. Okay, they're looking pretty good. Actually, we need to go back and fillet them. So I'm just double clicking back on sketch 9 over here just to allow me to come back into this sketch. And what I'm going to do is just choose the fillet option. I forgot about this step. And we're going to do a 3mm fillet first of all. So choose 3 in the fillet box. And I want you to choose these edges through the middle rectangle. They need 3mm fillet. Then we're going to change that fillet size to 1mm and just do them around the other rectangle at 1mm. So each edge should be filleted. You can close the fillet box when you're done. You'll see that you have something looking like that. You can finish the sketch and just extrude those 3 shapes so they cut back in on themselves at a distance of 1mm. Cut, cut, cut. That should cut all the way through the phone case to the other side. You can see now you've got those 3 holes. Okay, one for the headphone jack, one for the charger, and I think one for the volume. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. On top of the phone case now we've got to put a little hole in. That will probably do us. So swing around to the top face here. I'm going to start a 2D sketch on this top face. So over on this left hand corner, the same corner as that power button that we're going to be drawing, this little circle. Okay, so we'll start with the circle tool. Just click anywhere, somewhere over here, and drag out a 2mm diameter circle. That's going to be a little fella. We need to dimension it from the top face down to the center point there. It needs to be 3mm. And then we're going to dimension it from this left hand side, so click there, to the center point, and that needs to be 10mm. Oops. We'll press enter. Once that circle's in position, finish the sketch, click extrude, and choose cut so it cuts back in on itself. 1mm cut should be enough. It should cut all the way through. If we just swing around and have a look, yeah, that looks like it's going to work. Actually, no, it didn't. So we need to just go back to that extrusion by double clicking on it, make it a 2mm cut, and that goes all the way through. So now you've got a little circle there, goes all the way through. Just going to put a fillet on the top face here, so just choose fillet. It needs to be a very small radius, so 0.25, and just select this outer circle here. Press OK. So that ought to do it. I think we have our mobile phone case done. Put the buttons in, cut out all the holes that we needed to. Last thing is now just to give it a bit of a colour that you like. So the appearance panel at the top will help us with that. I'm just going to search for a rubber appearance. I'm going to click and drag all over it to select it and choose just this rubber here. Hit the little up arrow to apply it and close the appearance box. You've now got your Samsung Galaxy S8 mobile phone case all done. Okay, if you know how to 3D print, feel free to save it as the correct or appropriate file and you may send it to the 3D printer. Hopefully that fits your S8.